I'd like to call this March 26, 2026 Board of Education regular meeting to order. George, can you take the roll?
Mrs. Bissell?
Here.
Ms. Hafner?
Here.
Mr. Micko?
Here.
Mr. Wall?
Here.
Mrs. Hausen?
Here.
All present.
We could all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next on our agenda is our strategic priorities. Our district has developed and is currently engaged in a 3-year strategic plan which reflects the values, beliefs, and hopes of our students, staff, parents, and community. There are 4 strategic priorities to the plan: transforming teaching and learning, aligning staff and resources, cultivating culture and climate, and leveraging funding and facilities. Our strategic priorities give actionable focus to our district's purpose and mission and guide the work of our strategic plan. Next, I'll turn it over to Dr. Ryba for recognitions.
Well, we are excited to bring back our OSBA Student Achievement Recognition, and I'll turn it back over to you, Laura, and Michelle to do the honors.
Welcome, everybody. It's nice to see a full house here tonight. We appreciate you coming out in the crazy weather out there. I heard it got a lot crazier since we got here. So just want to start. We've renamed our Student Achievement Award and Staff Award to Model Mustang because we feel like these are models in our school, and we all hope to strive to be more like them. So we'll start with our teacher tonight, Mrs. Swanson, if you could come up. I'm going to ask Mr. Wingler to come up as well, but Mr. Wingler nominated you for this award. I'm going to let him talk about why.
So if you haven't seen the yearbook, when did you take over? About 3 years ago?
Yes.
Yeah. So the yearbook's an interesting job. Nobody wants it. It's hard to find somebody who'll take the job because the amount of intense labor that's involved in creating a wonderful yearbook is very difficult. And when the last yearbook advisor said, I'm not doing this anymore, I thought we weren't going to have one, and Heather stepped up. So my first criteria was that she said yes and would do it. But over the course of time, we've turned the yearbook into a class. Heather has created a course that has integrated English learning standards into the yearbook, and I want to add her journalism class as well, which creates a digital newspaper for us to look at in the building. And if you've been to a Strongsville event and you see a student with a camera, it's the yearbook. They go to everything. To jump to the end result is a yearbook that has received, I don't know how many, it's a lot of awards. We get 2 to 5 awards a year. I have a copy. She gifts me a copy every year I have in my office. It is truly the best yearbook I've ever seen, one of the best in the state of Ohio, and it's recognized for that every year. And I just wanted, before I let Heather say something, I want to say that's not an accident. The amount of time, energy, and effort. I get regular calls from the custodians in June and say, Heather can't be here at 6 o'clock. Please go make her go home. Or 4:22, right before I walk out, I have to go tell Heather, you got to go. I have to go home. She puts in, it's a wonderful supplemental, but she puts in way above and beyond the effort and intensity, and it shows. So I thought of her instantly when you guys called me, and I'll let you say a few words. Sit and mention it's your birthday.
Oh yeah, it's my oldest. It's her birthday today,
Oh.
so I feel bad because I'm getting the shout out. So. And I think there's at least one yearbook student back there. I saw Lizzie. I thought Delaney might be back there too. I just want to say thank you. I love that I'm headed towards retirement, so I love that I get to end my career the same way I started, which is advising a yearbook in a student newspaper. And it's just been a blast. It is a lot of hours, but it's worth it. We're proud of it, and I just want to thank you for recognizing me. So, thanks. Thank you.
Yeah, if you want to stand with the board members, Dan will get your picture.
Get in there, Bill. Are you going to get in there?
And when Michelle and I went in to tell Mrs. Swanson that she was our nominee tonight, or our winner, I got a chance to look at the yearbook as well. And my 3 children graduated from high school from Strongsville. It was a great yearbook then, but this it blew my mind. It was a year-long newspaper with the pictures to back it up. So thanks for all you do. We appreciate it. I'll let you introduce.
Our next nominees this month from Mr. Wingler are our, say it again?
Mustangs for a Cure.
I'm still stuck on the old name. So Mustangs for a Cure. We have 3 students that we'd like to honor tonight that led a team of many more. Eric Dubsky, Emily Polo, and Anna Placeway. Bill, if you'd like to come back up and talk about them.
So I won't say a ton about these guys, but I'm going to give you some numbers that are going to blow your mind. So we're part of, and I'll let them explain the cause more than I will, but it's basically raising money for a cure for blood cancer. And we have done this every year at Strongsville High School. Our previous record, a couple years ago, a young man raised about $92,000, $94,000, which is amazing. This crew here, and there's several more that helped them. First off, they're extremely hardworking, smart kids. They have a crew of about 30, I think, total, that they utilize. They raised $218,000. Which broke the Strongsville record, which was 92. And I have to say, one of the things as the principal is every year, they ask for everything under the sun for fundraisers there, and they want. These guys were the easiest I've ever had to work with. It was painless. They did everything so well, and I'm so proud of the fact that being a Mustang also means you give back to the community. We want students to graduate with a sense of civic pride, and clearly these 3, along with the other 27 in their crew, have, this is a volunteer. They don't get really a lot out of this other than doing the right thing and helping people. They really are amazing young people, and we're really proud of them. Maybe shyer than they are civically motivated.
They did a lot of talks.
Yeah, I was going to say, I just wanted to add, every morning I would wake up and check social media to see what you guys were doing that day. And I mean, it was every single day you guys were out there, and your fundraisers were so creative. I lost count of how many of those I was trying to win those raffles, but your connection with the business community, it was just amazing to see and watch. So congratulations on all you guys did. Thank you.
Thank you.
Amazing.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Well, congratulations to Heather and our students. Heather, I had the opportunity earlier this year. We spent some time together with some of the yearbook staff going through the yearbook, and it is just amazing. And you can see the hours in it. And I go to a lot of community events, and I think our young people here were at almost every community event I was at doing your thing. And so, you know, numbers are great, but I mean, that's crazy to get over 200,000 The money is amazing, but doing it for the right reasons, which I know all of you were doing it for the right reasons. All of us are touched by somebody that's struggling or struggled with cancer. So the work that you're doing to help and help make our community and our world a better place, we truly appreciate it. I'm very proud of you. Continuing on the celebrations, we're going to move on to our really talented dance team that continues to compete and win at high levels. So I'm going to turn it over to our athletic director, Jason Kepler, and our coach, Mackenzie Grimm, who are going to come up and honor these talented athletes.
Before we recognize the dance team, I want to speak a little bit more about both the yearbook and the Blood Cancer United team over there. Yearbook, I always say at every athletic event I cover, the only people at more athletic events than the AD is the photographers for the yearbook. Literally every single event I see them there, and it is such a commitment to be a part of that, and you guys always do such a great job. Being on the leadership team for Blood Cancer United, I couldn't be any more proud of you three. They ran their campaign, and their campaign is part of a bigger campaign throughout Northeast Ohio. And they revealed at the finale at the end that Northeast Ohio raised almost $2 million. And that's kids raising $2 million, and you guys were such a big part of that. I've said all along the way, Eric, I've talked to your mom so many times on how proud I am of you guys for all of the work that you've done and all the great things that you've done throughout the community. So thank you guys very much. We're here to recognize the dance team, and I first want to thank the board and all of you for the opportunity to recognize them. Time and time again, you let us come up here, recognize, and showcase some of our teams that do the things on the state's biggest stage, and tonight's no different. Before I have Coach Grimm come up and talk about the team, I just want to kind of show the room and show the community what type of commitment it takes to be on the dance team, and for most of you who are also in dance studios doing competition dance, to kind of show everybody what that looks like together. So I don't know everybody's schedules for their studios out there, but I'm sure it's similar to my daughters who do dance, and they practice 5-6 nights a week, sometimes up to 4 hours, most of the nights 2 to 3 hours. Then they come in for their dance team practice for 3 hours on a Sunday, a couple more hours on a weeknight, and that's just practice. That's 20 hours a week or so of practice to be the best dancers that they can be. Then you factor in the fact that they have homework to do, family commitments, friend commitments, and you still come Tuesday and Friday nights to dance at the basketball game. So it's a huge commitment, and when I think of this team, I think of one of our Model Mustang competencies of resilient. You find ways to do all of that just for dance and still be well-balanced kids, well-balanced students, and I'm just super proud of that. To give you a little bit bigger of a picture into how resilient they were this year specifically, it was one of the state championship was one of those weekends where it was, I don't remember if it was cold, snowy, both, but it was bad enough where they canceled the event. They canceled the state championship, rescheduled it for a couple of weeks later. The same weekend that there was a big dance, I think, showcase going on. So it kind of messed the roster up, and they had to redo their entire dance just weeks before the competition. And they redid their dance, they redid the routine, went to states, and brought home the state championship. And obviously I'm so proud of that, but even more so, I'm proud that you guys are so resilient and find ways to be well-rounded kids. So having said that, I'm going to bring up Coach Grimm to talk about the team.
So our team had another outstanding year. We qualified for states in all 4 categories entered. This year marked our 6th year qualifying for states. And at states, we were named state champions in the large hip-hop division, state runner-ups in the small jazz division, and we placed in the top 3 in the state for every category entered, including placing 3rd for both lyrical and pom. The work ethic and dedication of this team is so truly amazing, and it has really paid off. These girls, like Mr. Kepler said, they are involved in so much, and not only that, but they also they give back to their community. They're constantly doing so much volunteering. Most of them are in like NHS, Key Club, all of that, and they have super high GPAs. They're at the top of their classes. They are incredible, incredible girls, and I am so, so proud of them. I'm so lucky I get to work with them, and I love them so much. So we're going to call them up, but first we want to say thank you so much to Strongsville City Schools, Board of Education, the Athletic Department, Strongsville Athletic Boosters, and Caliber Dance Company for all of their help along the way. Your support means so much to us, and we are so, so very grateful. So first, I'm going to call up Maria Anignastu. And then Bryn Conlon. And Jaden Dombeck. Gianna Dylong. Kate Jersich. Charlotte Keefe. Nina Kravik. Anna Moravchik. Lila Moravchik. Kylie Sanick. Lizzie Stetter. Addie Tamura. We also have others that were not here tonight, but congratulations to them as well.
Parents, feel free to stand up and go get a picture if you want to go get a picture.
Congratulations. Way to go. Congratulations. Good stuff. Congratulations. Congratulations. I love all your shoes. I need a pair of those. Congratulations. You guys are so cute in your little shoes. Congratulations. 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 Great job. Thank you so much.
Congratulations. 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 Congratulations, Kenzie. Yeah.
All right, I want to thank everybody for being here tonight again. Great job, guys. I just want to point out, too, about the Mustangs for a Cure. Your guys' campaign window, it started at the end of January and wrapped up like mid-March. Like in that short amount of time, that amount of money, that's just amazing. So congratulations again. We appreciate you all being here. If anyone has any homework to do or anything, now would be a good time to. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Mrs. Swanson, for being here. Next on the agenda is public comment. Being that our public just all exited, I think we're good. No public comment tonight. I just looked over, I'm like, oh, there's no charge either. Next on the agenda is the approval of minutes. Motion to approve the minutes of the March 12th, 2026 work session. All audio recordings will be a permanent part of the minutes and are available upon request through the treasurer's office. Video recordings shall be maintained based on the availability of the selected digital online platform. With that, I will turn it over to George for the treasurer's report.
Thank you, Mrs. Hausum. I have a few items for your consideration tonight. The first is the monthly board status report for the month of February. It's the usual report that I give, the supplemental. Both reports are attached to the agenda, the more detailed financial report and the supplemental report. Just the supplemental report, just to kind of give the highlights. I'm going to skip the summary and come back to it at the end. So just looking at revenues, revenues for the month of February in comparison to last February, they were about $5.7 million less compared to last month or last February. And the big reason was the tax advance for February. The prior year it was $8.3 million for February. This year it was $2.6 million. It was one of the lower ones than we've gotten in recent years for this time of year. So just for context, we get our tax advances 5 times during the fiscal year. There's 2 settlement periods. The first settlement period is for this half of the, just think of it when your tax bills are due. It kind of coincides with the settlement period. So January, February, March is one settlement period, then July and August is the next settlement period. So for this one, the July through March, it's although the first one for the calendar year, it's our final one for the fiscal year. So usually the February one is a larger portion. In the past, it was close to $20 million. Last year it was $8 million, and this year was $2.5. Granted, on the county's end, with the change of all the tax reform items that happened, and things that had to go down to the tax department, the Ohio Tax Department taxation for approval, I think the tax bills went out a little later than usual, which kind of delayed some of the advances. But I just want to also note too, sometimes you get caught with a cash balance, but this is one of the necessities of having somewhat of a cash balance, is to manage these cash flow issues, because it could have been catastrophic if we were tight on money. And then in the past, this is where sometimes districts go out and borrow small short-term notes called tax anticipation notes, and you have to pay for those. They're not free. So just kind of wanted to bring that in with some context, and we'll talk more about the tax collections because we just did receive our settlement in March, and at the end of this, I'll tell the community how it went. So moving on to fiscal year revenues, in comparison to the same point through February last year, we're about $8.8 million less in comparison, $46 million in comparison to $54 million. That is about 16% lower. Again, it has to do with the tax advance, also coupled with, at that point in time, the renewal levy, the half year we received last fiscal year as well, was the second half for that coming off. But I also want to point out on the next, this not on this report, but on the more detailed report, there is an exhibit that kind of shows monthly comparisons year over year. And I just want to highlight fiscal year-to-date revenues in 2024, when the advance was so much higher for February. At that point in time, through February, we had $65 million in revenue. This February, we had $46 million. So $20 million swing in comparison. At that time, we had the renewal levy that was still on the books. So this year, that's off, and plus the renewal being less. So as you can see on the last line, where through February, our fiscal year-to-date revenues over expenditures, our expenditures are $15 million more than our revenues for February, in comparison to February of fiscal year 2024, when they were close to $11 million higher. So about a $25 million swing there. So kind of one of those necessities of the cash balance, but also it to the point of that cash balance is being spent down as well. So there's the just as an exhibit of that it's revenues are less and expenditures are remaining constant. Any questions on that before I go to expenditures? Yeah. Expenditures compared to, for the month of February compared to last February, expenditures were about $355,000 higher. The increase was salary and benefits, about $140,000, which has been the month-over-month trend due to the salary increases. And then purchase services and other expenditures made up about $210,000 more, which it's a combination of two things. One, the timing of when bills are paid, and then also some of our purchase services are higher in comparison to last year as well, which is noted on the next chart with the fiscal year to date. Salary and benefits are about $2 million higher, while purchase services are about $816,000 higher, and some of the increases there our professional services, nurses, OTs, PTs are about $75,000 higher through February. Utilities are about $155,000 higher. Special education placements, those are about $385,000 higher through this fiscal year, as those costs have gone up as more students have been placed in those services. So we'll continue to monitor each month. And then looking at the revenues and expenditures in comparison to the forecast. I know we just presented the forecast last month, but at that time I did note that the forecast could change based on our collection period, as the March settlement was yet to be known, and we were kind of just going, and the advances weren't a good indication based on how little they were in the timing. So that was kind of one of my things when the time period for the forecast being presented kind of changes. You're going to have some of these variances in comparison if this was presented in May, that some of these items might have been a little bit more known. But anyways, we did receive our tax settlements for March for Cuyahoga County. Lorain County is still outstanding. I think they're waiting more to get more dollars in, whereas Cuyahoga County just had a timeline and they stuck to their timeline. So our tax collections were about $1.2 million less than we anticipated. And the breakdown of that is residential and commercial properties. It was about $800,000 less. Delinquencies paid was about $1 million more. So I'm trying to get information from the county, kind of to dig in the information of, is it a decrease in collection rate that's bringing it down, or is it more of a timing of tax revenue came in, but it came in after their settlement date, so now they're just holding it till the advance. So these are some of the questions I've been asking the county. Haven't got much response yet, but I'm continuing to push. I think they're running into issues with their reporting systems. So just trying to get that information from the county. And then for public utility was about $400,000 less. That's usually on target. So my assumption is either a large public utility didn't pay, or it's the same timing issue. So it's trying to get that information from the county as well. And I know that public utility, I don't know if it's the same company or not, but a neighbor district is having the same issue with the public utility as well within the county. So as of now, in comparison to the forecast, it's trending. Revenues are about $1.2 million less because of that collection. And I said this is the final collection period for the fiscal year, so that's how we'll end. We'll have to see if it's a timing difference when July and August comes, or if it's a true collection period or delinquent collection rate issue. Those are the numbers I'm trying to dig into, and kind of like the red flags want to raise is if it's not a timing issue, if it is a delinquency issue, that could change our delinquencies on how they're forecasted in our forecast, and it could be a year-over-year impact. versus if it's a collection split, then it'll just a timing issue. So as the thunder comes in. Any questions on that?
George, have you, has this happened before to us, or are we in uncharted territory? Are you familiar, or before your tenure, do you know?
For public utility, no.
So that's
This is the first time with public utility. So that's kind of uncharted water. Just kind of, they're usually, you take the assessed valuation as a tax rate, and then divided by 50%. They usually pay it first half, second half. I think there is some, I don't know the exact details, but I think there is some challenges into some of the public utility valuations, because those aren't applied to House Bill 920. So as they've been increasing, those tax bills have been increasing. And then for the residential and commercial, we have had swings in collection rates, but they kind of adjust. If it is collection rate, this will be a second year in a row that it's gone down. Normally it goes down and comes back up. So that's the part that's a little concerning if it is collection rate.
Yeah, that might be structural then.
Yeah.
The, if you were going to give this like a 1 to 5, I'm always trying to assess risk, right? 5 being kind of like, we should all be very worried. Where would this fall?
I would say maybe 3.5, 4.
Okay.
In this term, because if it's a to your point, if it's a structural risk where it has to impact the forecast year over year, that fiscal year 2028, if you recall, that was the third year of the forecast when we were positive.
Right.
That was, we had it balanced by $4 million essentially, and that was the renewal levy. So if it's a year over year impact, that could swing that potentially, because they're so close to being balanced, from a positive to a negative. But I think we'll be okay. But that's the risk. If it is if the collection rate continues to decline, then it's going to have that negative impact to the forecast.
Yep. Thank you.
And tax revenues make up about 75% of our of our revenues, to put it in context. So that's our largest source. So that's why the risk is there as well.
Yeah, $1.2 million 1 month after our 5-year plan comes out. That's bad. 3-year.
Yeah, and that's the risk with them, with the change of the timelines of it is you forecast based on the information that you have at the time. When it was in May, you have that final settlement, so you know what it is. And then now with the other reporting timeline, from moving it from previously when it was October was fine. They moved it to November. This year back to October. Next year is August. August, by the time they're done, we might not have the final settlement at that point either. So you're doing the forecast, and then a few weeks later the settlement comes.
Yeah.
And it could swing the forecasts again. So those are the risks of when they made the changes to the time period.
Yeah.
The time.
That definitely impacts our confidence.
Right.
And it's not anything that we could just sort of happens.
Yeah. I think what we could do is we could always file supplemental forecasts, and when there's material changes, looking at the forecast again and possibly doing a May update and just refiling in May. Any other questions? No? All right, moving on. For student activity program budget and revisions, there is one change to the Fund 18 public school support for the administration office. As you'll see in the superintendent's update, there's a resolution to host a distinguished alumni event that Mr. Faust is coordinating. They'll be selling tickets to host this event. The activity for the revenue coming in and the expenditures going out will be run through this account, so the increase in the budget is to account for that activity. New funds for fiscal year 2026. We have Mr. Breckner applied for 2 BWC safety grants that'll be used to purchase custodial cleaning equipment Those require their own fund and special cost center. So there's those two grants there, Fund 499-9226 for the BWC Safety Intervention Grant, and Fund 499-9326 for the BWC School Safety and Security Grant. Grant approvals. There's several grant approvals. There's two from the SEF. That total about $2,675. There's 5 from the GPD Employees Foundation Grant. 3 are from the first 3 there for the curriculum department to support the Mile unit at the high school. One is for supplies for the Mile Cafe. The next one is for community-based life skills. Next is equipment for the Derby. And then the final 2 are for Mr. Binkley applied for the technology department, Spark Creativity and Career Skills, and Lights Camera Learning for those 2. And then the BWC safety grants, one for $26,500 and another one for $39,400. Any questions? And the last item is the amended permanent appropriations for fiscal year 26 to account for those changes that were listed for the grant changes, and then a few other changes that were listed in the exhibit due to a federal fund reallocation, just to give context. And with that concludes my report for now. There is another consent item that I have on the bottom of the agenda. But
Any
for now,
questions
that
for
concludes my
George?
report.
I just want to take a moment and congratulate George.
Oh.
For the 10th year in a row, him and his department have won the Meritus Budget Awards. I know, George, with the transition in your department, you weren't sure if you were going to get it done on time, but we talked and you put in a whole weekend worth of work and you got it in, and you earned the award again. So
Yeah.
congratulations to you and your department.
Thank you.
It's a really big deal, and it's kudos, and we appreciate all the work that you guys do.
Yeah, it was. I didn't think I would get it in time, but it was. It took the final weekend to wrap it up due to the deadline, but it was about a month's worth of work to get it all done, and it's done. We got it for the 10th year in a row, and what it is it can be found on the web. The report can be found on the website. It's under our financial. If you go to financial reports, under the annual reports, it's there. It's our annual budget document for the year, where it highlights the budget for the district. There's 4 sections, a summary, that kind of just if you want to see the highlights, an organizational section, which is more about the structure of the district, and then the financial section, which is kind of like the forecast. There's 4 years of history, the actual budget year, and then 3 projected years, and it goes from a district summary all the way down to each individual budget units, cost centers by fund. So every department, every activity, everything is in there. If anyone wants to go dig into the numbers, the details, it's all there. And the last section is the informational. It's got a lot of cool stats about the district as well.
George, how many districts in the state of Ohio get this award?
We're 1 of 4.
1 of 4. I just wanted to draw attention to that because that's remarkable. And I also wanted to just remind our community members, one of the things we get the most criticism and or questions about is our management of money. And so I just want to draw attention to the fact that we have outside organizations that are constantly reviewing our documents, and they are always coming back at this level, 1 of 4 in the state of Ohio. So congratulations, George. Thanks for all your hard work.
Thanks.
Any other questions for George? I have to turn it over to Dr. Ida.
Ms. Hausman, with your permission, it seems like maybe like 7:30ish, there'll be a break in the weather, so if it's okay, I'm going to skip my report, have my department colleagues go, and that way if they want to get on the road early, they can. Yeah. All right, Steve, you want to start?
A couple items for the business services section this evening. The first one is be resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent that the Board of Education enters into an agreement with Ohio Schools Council for the electricity purchase program for 5 years, otherwise known as the Power for Schools program.
Action item, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second?
Motion by Ms. Hafner, second by Mr. Miko.
Yep. Ms. Hafner?
Yes.
I'm sorry, Steve, would you like to?
Sure. So what this is part of the Ohio Schools Council, which is our local government organization that goes out and bids on our behalf for a host of contracted services, both locally and nationally. So in this instance, what we're agreeing to is that we want our names to be listed as they go out and go to different power companies and different power brokers to negotiate on our behalf. And that includes also another 171 school districts in Ohio. They negotiate on all of our behalf. I get calls from brokers all the time, but buying energy, there's a lot of hidden fees, there's a lot of transmission fees. The Ohio Schools Council is great that they go out, they take care of that, they know what they're doing when it comes to negotiating those different fees, and they get us a price that is sustained over an amount of time, where if we were to negotiate on our own, we may have to get into a situation where some of our rates are flexible, just because our buying power isn't as great when we combine with those other 171 schools. So we've been a part of this program for many years, even before I was in this position. It's a good deal for the district and other school districts that join. Together, we just have a greater buying power than we do separately.
Any questions for Steve? Hearing none, can you take the roll?
Ms. Hafner?
Yes.
Mr. Miko?
Yes.
Mr. Wall?
Yes.
Mrs. Hausum?
Yes.
And Mrs. Bissell?
Yes.
Motion carries.
The second item is a resolution to enter an agreement with Ever-Driven Technologies, LLC, for the 2025-2026 school year. This is transportation of special education handicapped students within the Strongsville City School District in district schools, and also at schools that lie outside of the district. Some of our homeless students that attend Strongsville City Schools also get transportation through this agreement. And this covers any students that need to be transported and cannot be by our own buses due to the impracticality of either distance or a disruption to our regularly scheduled transportation services.
Any questions?
Thank you, Steve.
All right, thank you.
Next, Nicole is going to come up for the curriculum report for the month.
Good evening. I have 8 or so agenda items for your consideration. Our first agenda item is the placement of a counseling intern with one of our counselors at the middle school. The student is from Cleveland State. The second item is Amplify Boost Reading. Be it resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent that we pay to purchase 1 year of Amplify Boost Reading student licenses for grades K-5. We have a couple of overnight trips. Our boys wrestling team will be traveling, or has traveled, to Columbus, Ohio, because they qualified for states. That took place on March 12th through 15th, and transportation was provided by the parents, and lodging and meals were paid for by the district. Our girls varsity lacrosse team will be traveling to the Gallipoli Wolford Classic Lacrosse Team Tournament. Excuse me if I mispronounce any of those. They will be traveling via school bus paid by the district, and their entry fee will be paid by the Strongsville Lacrosse Team funds. Lodging and meals will be paid by participating students and the Strongsville Athletic Boosters. We have an out-of-state trip. One of our students, a qualifying student, qualified to participate in the Penn Relays in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, on April 23rd to 25th. The entry fee was paid by the coaching staff, transportation will be provided by the parent, and lodging and meals will be paid for by the participating student. This one's in the future. Our Strongsville High School marketing education classes and fashion and interior design students plan to take a trip to London and Rome. The trip will take place, they will be traveling with teacher Jenna Namick and Erica Mendici, June 9 through the 19th of 2027. Expenses associated with the trip will be paid for by the students, and as any trip like this we plan in the future, it may be postponed or changed based on world conditions. 2 revisions. The service agreement between us and St. Joseph and John's interparochial schools and PSI affiliates, there's a change to the amount from Title I funds for that programming. And a revision for Admentum Solutions, which is the program we use for our online programming and our credit recovery, and a change to that because of increased enrollment. Thanks.
I will be taking Andy's spot for today. So under Student Services, we have one item for your consideration. Recommendation that the Board of Education enters into a PSI services change form with a change at the Strongsville Middle School from SPED LPN to a SHA MA for 36.25 hours a week for 10 weeks at $34.65 an hour, effective March 16th for the remainder of this school year, with the decreased cost of $3,806.25. Services will be provided at the standard rate in the master contract that was approved in August, unless the specified rate change from $45.15 to $34.65, which is occurring in this item. Any questions for that item? And I'll turn over to Ryan for Human Resources.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I have the following items in Human Resources for your consideration. Item 1, resignation, administrative. Item 2, resignations, certificated. Item 3, resignations, non-certificated. Item 4, retirements, certificated. Item 5, retirement, non-certificated. Item 6, appointments, non-certificated. Item 7, appointments, certificated substitutes. Item 8, appointments, non-certificated substitutes. Item 9, appointment, non-certificated on-board instructor. Item 10, appointment, non-certificated supplemental contract. Item 11, changes in status, non-certificated. Item 12, contract recommendation, non-certificated continuing contract. Item 13, stipend, kindergarten, early entrance screening. Item 14, stipend, planetarium facilitator. Item 15, leave of absence, administrative. Item 16, leaves of absence, certificated. Item 17, leaves of absence, non-certificated. Item 18, volunteers, chaperones. And item 19 is a revision.
Any questions for Ryan?
Thank
And
you.
then finally, under technology, Dave will come up with the report.
Well, it's finally that time of the year. You'll see me probably for the next 3 or 4 meetings up here. The first item I have tonight is be resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent that the Board of Education approves the purchase of 1,000 Chromebooks with Google Management licenses and extended warranties for student use from Royal Business Equipment for a total amount of $408,300. Item number 2 is with Meta Solutions Master Service Agreement for Schedules 1 and Schedule 2 for the next school year. Be it resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent that Schedule 1 of the agreement between Meta Solutions and Strongsville City Schools be approved to provide information technology services for 2026-27 at an annual cost of $125,556.75. That's $22.25 per student. There is a 2% discount for early payment of $2,511.13, reducing the cost to $123,045.62. And be it further resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent that the Schedule 2 of the agreement between Meta Solutions and Strongsville City Schools be approved to provide Info Ohio library services for the 2026-27 school year at a cost of $16,364.70. That's $2.90 per student. And my last item is here for Southeast Security for network upgrades. from the 019 Other Grants E-Rate Reimbursement Fund. Be it resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent that the agreement between Southeast Security and Strongsville City Schools be approved to provide upgrades to the firewall and the entire district, or for the entire district, and provide up to 10 gigabytes per second internet access, and the upgrade switches at Strongsville High School as detailed in the attached quote. The cost of the agreement shall not exceed $131,602.55.
Any questions for Dave? Thank you, Dave. With that, we'll go back up to my report, and y'all are welcome to stay, welcome to go, whatever you'd like to do.
Seems kind of quiet out there right now.
Yeah. So under number one, it's an action item, be resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent that the Board of Education approves the resolution per the attached exhibit authorizing the Distinguished Alumni Event and approving and authorizing the attached contract with Encore Event Center and certain expenditures in conjunction with the event not to exceed $5,000. Ticket sales from the event will assist in covering expenses for the event.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Motion by Megan, seconded by Rich. Dr. Iba, do you want to explain, or do you want to have Dan come
Yeah,
up?
Dan's going to come up and explain. He's done all the work around this, so we'll have him explain what he's been working on.
Good evening, everyone. So the Distinguished Alumni Event is what was an annual event. It's been gone for a while from our district, and we are bringing it back this year. It is on Friday, April 24th from 6 to 8 p.m. at Encore Event Center here in Strongsville. Our committee has selected 4 very deserving alumni to be honored this year. Susan Sequoy Jensen, who's an architect in California. She's the class of 1979. Jim Kaminsky, class of 1983, who's local here, city councilman, done some great work in the community. Craig Craybeal, who works in the entertainment industry out in California. He's coming in for the event. He's class of 1999. And then Robert Butler, who is in law enforcement, and he is the class of 2000. So a great group of people, great representatives of our district and of our alumni, and we're excited to be honoring them at that event at the end of April.
Any questions for Dan? Thanks for taking this on. I understand it used to be a Chamber of Commerce and district thing, and now we're going to go solo, so
We are.
thank you very much.
All right. Thank you.
George, can you take the roll?
Ms. Hafner?
Yes.
Mr. Miko?
Yes.
Mr. Wall?
Yes.
Mrs. Hausum?
Yes.
Mrs. Bissell?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Moving on to the second item, we are going to continue our conversation from our last meeting about our reduction plan. So the spreadsheet that George is going to put on the board and the board members have in their agenda under the administrative content, we're not making it public right now because it is a draft. It's a public record, but it is a draft that we want to make sure that we get consensus on what we're doing, and then we'll publicize it and share it with everybody at that time. But just as a reminder, last board meeting we talked about, George presented the forecast. We had a conversation with the board about financial reductions that we may need to take a look at, and we provided 3 options. Just go through like we did last year, which was look at savings from our natural reductions. Option 2 was look at savings from natural reductions, plus ensuring that we hit a moderate financial target. Or the third option was the same, but hitting a more aggressive financial target. And the direction was come back to us with a specific plan with specific dollar amounts, and that's what we're going to share with you tonight. So to frame what we're requesting the board to consider and give direction on tonight, as we will go through, we have divided things up into 2 categories. Either phase 1, which would be things we would implement for next school year. Phase 2 or beyond, which would be things that we would do in a later school year, not next year, but sometime in the future. And so what we are asking the board is that if there's anything that we've listed and go over tonight that's a phase 1 reduction that you don't want to happen next year, but you'd like it to be bumped to later, that's where we'd ask for some guidance. If there's something that you've seen that is in the phase 2 or later, which would mean the 27, 28 school year or beyond, and you're saying, hey, I think that should be bumped up to this year, then we would like that guidance as well. There may be something that is not on this list in either phase that you would like to see considered in either phase 1 or phase 2 and beyond, and we'd ask that you bring that up at that time. And then we'll share the entire financial scope of what this plan is, and we just need some guidance as to whether we're within the ballpark of the targets you want us to hit or whether we're not. So that kind of frames our conversation for tonight. So again, everybody that's here, our COLT team, our board team, you've seen this. I've shared a video with you explaining it. But for our people that are watching at home, we'll go through it in a little bit of detail. So what George has up on the screen right now, we're going to start with the staffing tab. And we're going to start in the upper left-hand corner. So we took a look at staffing through 4 different lenses. The first lens you could see in row 1 is our teacher and administrative positions, our certificated staff. And we're looking at this through the lens of, are there any reductions that we can make that would be an elimination of these positions? And so what we took a look at in the different columns were what positions would be reduced, who are people currently in those positions, how does it align with the guidance that the board has given in terms of the phase, and then George gave some February forecast considerations, and you could see everything right now is phase 1, and I'll talk about the financial component here in a second. If you remember, when we talk about phase alignment, at the last board meeting, the board gave direction that we don't want to be so aggressive where we are eliminating positions, people are losing their job for the sake of us having to reduce expenses and save money. We want to look at, hey, here's a retirement that we may not replace, here's a budget savings we can take a look at, or here's a savings that's not going to negatively impact the core components of somebody's job, and so that's what we've taken a look at. If we take a look at columns F and G, you'll see this is all related to what cost savings we would see. And going back to the last board meeting, because of George's forecast, if you see the column that says FY 26 to 27 reductions, that is a true savings of what we will see comparing this year to next year. The reason we put the next column in is because of the change in the forecast being done in February versus May. George and Ryan and Jenny talk about human resources, and I talk with them. So George already captured some of those things in the forecast. So the second column, if it's different, it's saying, I already caught some of this in the forecast, and here's the delta. So we'll have 2 numbers for you. Here's the true reduction from this year to next year, and here's the second number is, here's what we're going to see as a reduction in the forecast. Okay? So taking a look at this column first, I'm just going to go row by row so we have transparency in what we're taking a look at. The first one is to reduce our permanent sub positions. We've had these permanent subs. These are important aspects to the work that we do, but the way it's worked in practice, we've probably only carried about 5 of those positions on our books. So when we say we're going from 11 to 5, we're not reducing what we're actually using, because we would hire 7, 8, 9, whatever it may be, but then we'd have long-term sub positions open up, and they would go fill those positions and vacate the permanent sub positions. So this is more of a budget reduction to say, George would budget for 11 positions. We're now only going to budget for 5. That's going to save us, looking at column F, that's going to save us $230,000 in budget expenses. And that wasn't captured in his 5-year his forecast in February. So that's going to be a true savings in both aspects. Make sense there? All right. Row 5, although we're not ready to publicly share what this position is, as we're still finalizing some things, this would be the reduction of a high school position. This individual is retiring, and we would be able to distribute the responsibilities to others. And as you could see, and I'm not going to go through this in every position, but that would be a true savings of $166,000 from this year to next year. But based on what George had forecasted as a replacement cost in his forecast, we would see an additional $116,000 in the forecast savings versus what he presented in February. As I continue to move on, I just want to pause and say one thing. all of these positions, although people are not losing their jobs, these all have a cost to what we're able to offer our kids in our district. So I don't want the factual manner that I'm going through the reductions to give any indication that this does have an impact. People may not lose their jobs, but these are things that do provide a positive impact for our students and for our community and for our families that we will no longer have. And hopefully one day soon we will have these again because they have proven their value. But we are in a position where we have to look and make difficult decisions to say, if we can save some money here, we're willing to do that for the long-term benefit and the financial health of our district, even though we understand that there is a human cost and a support cost that's going to be in place. So as we go to row 6, as a school district, we have 3 media specialists. We have a high school, a middle school, and an elementary. Our elementary media specialist is retiring. By law, you only have to have 1 media specialist in a school district. We are recommending not replacing this position, and that work would be absorbed by our middle school and high school media specialists. Every year at the elementary level, Jenny and Ryan work together, taking a look at the number of sections we have. We are going to have 3 fewer sections needs. When I say sections, that's grade levels. How many kindergarten classrooms, how many first grade classrooms. So we're going to have 3 fewer classrooms next year across the building. And these are the people that we've selected for this row, and so that'll be a cost savings there to the district moving forward. 8 and 9, I don't know, when Aaron and I years ago started working hard on how can we bring coaches to our district. She had a $1 million literacy grant that got that going. Jenny comes on board as assistant superintendent, works to bring additional coaches for instructional coaches and technology coaches. This has been a huge part of the success that we've seen as a district. Teachers coaching teachers is where it's at in terms of taking isolated professional development that's highly beneficial and meaningful, but extending it on beyond those moments to be an integrated part of what we do on a daily basis. We have 2 of our phenomenal, I love these 2 ladies more than anything, and they've just done amazing work and transformed the work we do in math and ELA in the secondary level across the district. And unfortunately, all the convincing we tried, they're going to retire. Although difficult to let those positions go, again, those duties can be redistributed, and we are recommending not to replace those positions. As you can see there, George already had those in the forecast, so that's why there's $0 there. And finally, in this row 10, this is, we've taken all of our teachers that are retiring. We've taken a look at a placeholder of here's, what do we do, bachelor's 5 years?
Yeah, bachelor's 5 years.
So we've taken a look at here's how much this person that's retiring cost us this year. A placeholder of we would hire a teacher to replace them at a bachelor's degree with 5 years of experience. We would look at the difference, and that's what the savings would be. So you can see the savings is $255,447. There was a correction that we needed to make based on information George used in his forecast. So you could actually see that that's going to be an additional cost in the forecast because of that correction. At this time, I'm not going to go in the level of detail of the phase 2 or later. Those are all there. The board, you've seen those. You know what those are. And we've left them general because this is not for next year. We're proposing that this would be in 2 years or more from now, if necessary. So we didn't give the level of specificity there because things could change. Unless somebody interrupts, I'm going to keep going. So let's go over to column I. Same idea here, but we're looking at non-certificated positions. So this would be support staff or leadership non-union positions. So we have, we have a day shift at the high school that position is no longer needed. It's being reduced for efficiency. We're not reducing this for budget savings. We're reducing it to say we've all come together and said this position is not adding the value that we need. So that employee will have other employment within the district, just not in that position. but it would not be a new position we're creating, so that is a true savings. Looking at number 5, we would reduce one skilled maintenance position. We have 7 of those right now, so we would go down to 6. We have an employee that worked for us for a long time. Jerry's a wonderful guy. He's come in and helped out this year. He's a retiree hire, so again, we would eliminate that position, and it would not, wouldn't have Jerry here anymore, but he's retired a handful of years ago. And then the row 6 and 7 are similar. In years past, we've hired summer help, typically college age or high school age children of our staff. They'd come in and do custodial or maintenance work as well as technology work. Again, that provides a benefit, but it is a nice to have versus a must have, and so that's something that we could reduce. And again, underneath, there's phase 2 options that you've seen. Scrolling over to starting with column P would be where we're not looking at eliminating positions, but we're looking at reducing hours or days. And so there's 2 items here. We have, over the past few years, we have afforded all of our head secretaries at our buildings 5 additional days, not contracted, but 5 additional days via timesheet. If they felt they needed to come in the week before the first week of work in August, they could use those. I would say about 1/3 of the people use them. The other 2/3 do not. But this would be the savings we would see by eliminating that option of 5 days, meaning they would come in on their first day of work, whatever the first Monday is after August 1st. Eliminating that would save those dollars. And then, although small, we take a look at every aspect of our organization. We have 2 monitors at the high school that are contracted for 190 days. That extra day was used for seating charts that are not necessary anymore due to technology. And so right-sizing their calendar would save a few $100s there. Again, some phase 2 options there. And then going on to column W, there are no phase 1 reductions because none of this aligned to the board's previous guidance of not negatively impacting student opportunities or supports or experiences. So we put those all as phase 2 or later. So Ms. Hausum, do you want me to go through all of the plan and then come back in discussion, or would you prefer to talk about people now and go to stuff later?
It's up to my fellow board members. Does anyone want to pause now and share thoughts, comments, or questions? All right, I'm getting the keep going sign.
All right, so George, if you can click on the other tab. The other is all the non-people stuff. So looking at the operations of the school district, same concept. The first column, column A, is just the category that it's in. So you can see the first section is about the delay or reduction of tech-related purchasing. And again, we've broken those down into phase 1 or 2. So Dave, Aaron, and Nicole have gone through all of the technology software programs that we have. They've looked at usage, click counts, how many people are using this, as well as are we seeing a necessary impact on student needs or outcomes. And you could see the breakdown from each of the departments, the reductions that they believe that we should make for next school year. And this is a matter of course. We do this every spring, but it's captured there that we, based on the reductions of some of the software that's there, we could save $31,500 going into next year. If we go down to row 9, that would be the next item. We are suggesting in phase 1 that we would eliminate club or incentive field trips that are not educationally based and have a cost to the district. So for example, the middle school wants to walk down to Dairy Queen as an incentive trip. That doesn't have a cost to the district. We still have an approval procedure, so as long as we approve that, we're okay with that. But if it has a cost to the district and we don't see that there's an educational connection, that we would say no to that. Melissa and
Ann Wilson.
Ann, thank you. Ann from Transportation did a great job putting that together, so we believe Based on that criteria, we could save $19,000 in our budget by eliminating those trips. Some of these other things are not, they're more just statements of, to guide and put parameters on us for moving forward. So row 12 says, we're not going to expand programming that would add cost to the district or new supplementals. Jenny, every year, probably around this time, gets a supplemental committee together. They take a look at our supplemental contracts, make recommendations. They're still going to do that as a matter of process and course to take a look at it, but we would not be recommending anything that would be an additional cost to the district. Moving on to rows 18 and 19. We do have ESC funds that we use, state subsidy funds that we use. So what we're saying for Dan's budget is any communications expenses that aren't covered by that, which are not general fund tax dollars, would be eliminated, which would save $10,000. And George, I'll let you take row 19 since you did the calculations on that.
Yeah, so row 19, it's for the building budgets. Every year they get an allocation based, for their non-personnel items, they get an allocation of $95 per student. And every year there's part of it that's not spent. And looking at a 4-year history, the reason it's 4 years, not 5, is the 5th year would have been 2020, which was the COVID year, which wasn't a good comparison. So kind of looking at a 4-year average, they leave about $10 a pupil on the table not spent in budget savings. So we're looking to reduce them by that amount from $95 to $85 a pupil, and that would save about $50,000.
And then
So
looking
again,
at the, I'm sorry, George.
I was going to say, again, there shouldn't be any real impact as those dollars are kind of unspent. Again, it was an average. Some buildings did were more strategic in using them. As in terms of, I say strategic, they would look at the end of the year and kind of see how much they have available, kind of pool their funds together and look for one-time purchases for things for their building.
And then finally on this sheet in rows 25 through 27, again, these are more parameter statements versus we would see savings. But again, we would not do any out-of-state travel from the general fund. We wouldn't use the general fund on any non-district required PD. And then no summer curriculum pay from the general fund. So it doesn't mean we're not going to do professional development or there may not be travel. What it means is Aaron has Title IIA funds that Aaron and Nicole have Title IIA funds that they could use for the curriculum pay or professional development. We have the state subsidy funds that we use predominantly for conferences that could be used for that, but we would not use the general fund for any of those if we have been. So George, if you can click on the financial summary tab. So the financial summary tab pulls from all of the things that we've just talked about. So the first 4 rows go from the staffing charts. So you could see from each of those things the elimination of certificated, the elimination of non-certificated, reduction of hours of days, and as well as the stipends. You could see the dollar amount of savings that we get from each of those items, comparing this year to next year, as well as comparing the savings to the forecast, as well as what we just did, the other reductions tabs. So in total, based on what we've presented in phase 1, that culminates into a savings of $1,866,000 that will reduce expenditures from last year to this year if we stick with everything that's in phase 1. If we take a look at the forecast George presented, that will save a little over $1 million in the forecast. And George, if you want to go to your February forecast tab, and you can take it over from there.
Yeah, so I put a tab in here that you might be familiar with kind of modeling of the forecast. So kind of starting with base of the 5-year forecast that was presented in February, and then also factoring in the current revenue and expenditure trends. So here are these columns here, were from the 5-year forecast. This column is the revenue trend, only looking at it for 1 year, and so I have the issues figured out with the county, and then also adding back the revenues I have here without the renewal levy that we have, so adding back the renewal here, so that kind of shows the revenues to this section. The expenditures that were in the 5-year forecast are presented here. The current trend was about $5,000 more than what was forecasted. And then the phase 1 reductions. So how that impacts the forecast of the phase 1's reductions, that would have a year-over-year effect with those expenses coming off. So each year the savings would accumulate. So the impact would be looking at fiscal year 2028, the net savings, we would have about $817,000 with a positive balance if the renewal levy is approved of $5.5 million, and then in fiscal year 29, we would have a negative $13 million. We originally had negative $15 million, so it brought it to about $1.8 million.
And so, George, wouldn't you say, prior to putting these reductions in, FY 28 was about $3.5 million cash balance with what you're seeing in the tax collections. Although it's not going to change the outlook in 29 or beyond, it gives us a little more breathing room, a little more cushion as we get to that lean year.
Correct.
Okay. So with that, Ms. Hausum, that's the plan that present to you in terms of potential reductions to consider. So again, just to refresh everybody's memory, anything that we've said in phase 1 that you'd like to see bumped to later, anything that's proposed as later to be bumped sooner, or anything that is not on the list that you think we should consider.
All right, I'll open it up for my colleagues to ask questions, make comments. That's a lot of information to digest.
I have a question. It's a little bit more detailed than I guess we would specifically ask, but because it's in phase 1, I'm looking at this list of like trips, off-campus trips with transportation costs, and it was couched as non-educational. Right? So some of them on this list, for example, make sense to me. Cedar Point for 8th grade, I understand that, right? But some of them strike me as educational, like the planetarium trips for the 5th grade, or the zoology class going to the zoo. So I'm just curious about how, is it educational in that it doesn't directly connect to their curriculum, or how is that defined?
Educational, and it takes, it's the way that it's phrased, and maybe I didn't say it as clearly. It's both. It's got to be educationally related, and if there's a cost to the general fund, it gets on the list. That's correct? That's what you did, George, right? Yeah.
Say that one more time.
So you got to look at them as and. So you're looking at both of it. We're going to look first, is it educationally based or not? If it's not educationally based, it's off the list.
Okay.
If it's educationally based, it stays on the list.
Okay.
If there's a cost to the general fund, then that's another thing that would take it off the list. So we're not talking about, we're talking about clubs and incentives. So again, is this the planetarium trip for the kids for like 3rd grade, or is this like 5th grade? So that's a correction we would have to make.
Less cost. Well, I understand the cost. I just didn't understand why I made the list, because it strikes me as educational. So there's a whole, there are others that left me scratching my head as to how they aren't educational. I understand there's still a cost of general fund. I get that.
Yeah.
So I guess that's my only question is, I don't want to go through them one by one, but I would like eventually an explanation of how these particular ones got on the list.
Sure.
Thank you.
Other questions, comments?
I don't have a question. I just wanted to thank Cameron, George, the entire team. It's detailed. It's insightful. It wasn't just, hey, let's do this as quick as we can. There was a lot of thought and a lot of work involved. I don't have it. I don't know. For me, it's a good thing. I don't have much question for it. I'm supportive of all of it. The conversation I had with Cameron earlier is I would like to think about, but to find a way to capture the impact, because there are consequences to these decisions, and we're looking at this in the lens of a budget. We're looking at this in the lens of, hey, these things don't have an immediate emotional hurt to them. We set it up as we don't want things that are going to directly impact students, but they have consequences. The board didn't approve these things just because they sounded good. We approved these things originally because they're going to have long-term impact to the education of our students. And so I struggle with, and I think this is something for all of us to think about, is a way to memorialize these so that when the time comes to say, it's not just job done. It's not just we've reduced the budget, let's move to the next problem. It's remembering that these decisions have consequences so that we can continue to have that conversation. And I shared this with Cameron. I'll be as quick as I can. At work, we have a process that we do annually called a value stream analysis. And every year we go through our operation, and it's very manufacturing based, so it's not a perfect segue. But every year we go through and we say, what things do we do as a business that actually have impact, that actually impact for a business the bottom line, that actually help the customer and is what the customer wants to pay us for? And what things do we do that are a waste, that don't have that kind of impact? And I was sharing with Cameron, a lot of these things, I would hope as a board, we're like, well, of course we're going to do that. We're not here to spend money just because. If there's a software program that doesn't, once upon a time it had impact, it was used, etc., great, we're going to invest in it. But any organization of this size, you start to get into that creep of you do the same thing over and over again. So it's worthwhile to go through on a regular basis and eliminate things that we don't need anymore. But at the same time, things like secondary coaches, either that's bringing value or it's not. The fact that they're retiring makes it really easy to put the dollars on a spreadsheet, but we didn't invest in that. That was a big decision for the board and for the district to say it makes sense for us to make that investment. And I just want to spend some time making sure we're accounting for that and not just the dollars and cents. But other than that, I don't have a whole lot of specific, there's nothing on this list for me that, to me it would just be personal flavor or whatever. But Cameron and his team spent the time going through it. So I respect that, and I'm good with everything on phase 1. And we'll worry about phase 2 6 months from now.
I just want to piggyback a little bit on what Rich said. First, Cameron, Jenny, George, the Colt team, the level of detail and time that you put into this report for us to review is nothing short of extraordinary. As someone who prepares reports on a weekly, almost daily basis for senior management, I appreciate all of this, and I thank you for the time that you put into this, because this is not something that you just did overnight or in an hour or 2 hours. So first of all, thank you. Rich, you talked about consequences, and our secondary math coach, I actually had her my sophomore year in high school. I went into her honors geometry class as someone who dreaded math, and I work at a bank now in the financial industry, working with numbers and Excel and formulas every day. And I left her class that year with a renewed love for numbers, and that was something that I lost along my way. And, Rich, talking about consequences, my personal experience with her specifically really makes me think of that, because she was somebody who was very influential in my life, and honestly, without the impact that she had at that time, I don't know that I would be in the role and job that I am in today. And so that is something that we need to keep in the back of our minds, that yes, there are dollars attached to these people, but what services are we also losing in the meantime? Is this something that eventually I want us to get back to 100%? Because I, for one, am someone who can sit up here and say, when you have an educator who is that passionate and cares for each and every student that comes into his or her classroom and takes the time to get to know them and help them and truly educate them the way that they learn best, that is invaluable to everything we do. And that is why we sit up here as the Board of Education. We sit up here to make the best options and decisions for our students. And when I think of Mrs. Scott, I only see a consequence, because without her, I would not be here. I can say that from the bottom of my heart. And if she's watching this tonight, thank you, Mrs. Scott, because again, I would not be working at a bank without you. Yes, natural reductions always seem like the easiest way to go. But like you said, Rich, we also can't lose the people aspect behind that. And that's something that I really feel like we need to keep in the back of our minds as we go through this process. And you know, as you said, 6 months, a year, 2 years down the road, when we start looking at phase 2, we not only need to look at just the dollar amount, but we need to look at the student services that we could potentially be losing. And we need to look at that delta of, is that something that we can get back in the near future, in the immediate future, maybe a few years down the road? Because I think we can all agree, and of course I don't want to speak for anybody up here, but we all see the value in these positions. And of course, natural reductions just tend to, unfortunately, when you need to make reductions, are the easiest way to make those reductions. But again, we need to think about the impact that our students are going to have. And for me, just like what happened with Mrs. Scott, if one student is influenced and encouraged and comes out better, then we're doing our job up here.
I have one more comment. It's not nearly as compelling as as Megan's, and I appreciate your perspective very much. None of us have that, so thank you. It's about that time of year where we would start to review the drug testing policy anyway. We kind of have been on a cadence of doing it at the end of the school year. And for me, I can't say whether or not it belongs on this plan, but I think we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about it in relationship to this plan. It has a pretty steep price tag, and it is not a job. So I do think we're going to revisit it anyway as the year comes to a close. If we could start collecting that data and then plan a time sometime in the future where we start to talk about, you know, what is that in relationship to this reduction plan, if anything.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions or comments? I just, one really quick thing to add. I know we talked about the student perspective with Mrs. Scott, but I just want to say how many staff members that have stopped me or reached out and said that Mrs. McKnight and Mrs. Scott have helped them be better teachers with the collaboration and thinking outside of the box. So, you know, we've been very fortunate to have that. And Michelle and I were very lucky when we were elected that we got to help add some of these things back into our day-to-day lives here in the schools. And I'm just going to be honest, it makes me sad to sit here and talk about reductions. You know, this was not what we had planned on. So these are people. It's not just numbers.
Yeah.
So thank you again for all the hard work you guys put into this.
And so based on the conversation tonight, I just want to confirm that we are going to continue to move forward with the plan as presented. We've got some notes to look into for next time, but I'm going to take that as we are in the ballpark of the reductions that you're looking for next year. Okay. Unless there's any more discussion or questions on that, Ms. Hausum, that would conclude my report for that and the complete report. So I think that would take us down to L.
Wait, where are we?
L. Polaris.
Okay. Whew. Report on Polaris. I do have, it's that time of year. I've got a report. And again, this is just a highlight of what Polaris does. This by all means is not everything. We could sit here all night long and talk about all the great things that Polaris does, but I just kind of wanted to highlight a few things. The Camp Discovery returns June 8th through the 11th. It's open to all students entering grades 6 through 8. It's a hands-on experience that allows students to explore career pathways, try new skills, and discover their passion through interactive camps led by Polaris instructors. Registration is open on Polaris's website. And after a 7-year hiatus, Polaris culinary students made an epic comeback at the Pro Start competition. They brought home the state title in the culinary team event. I'd like to give a shout out to 3 of the team members who are from our high school: Stephen Galepski, Tegan Lesky, and Logan Zowie. They are moving on to nationals in Baltimore in April, and good luck to our students and their teammates. Last week, Polaris held its annual robotics competition, Polaris Palooza. 126 students represented the 6 partner middle schools. Students used their creative problem-solving skills along with their STEM skills in 2 hands-on challenges, Mad Grab and the Dragster Challenge. Congratulations to our very own Strongsville Middle School students who were the champions in both events. And then last but not least, I wanted to recognize Polaris for hosting our spring conference for the Ohio School Boards Association last night with a wonderful buffet dinner. Dinner was followed by an awards ceremony where my fellow board members, Mrs. Bissell and Mr. Micko, were recognized. Mrs. Bissell was recognized for earning a Star Board Member Award as well as being a Master Board Member. And Mr. Micko was recognized for his 15 years of service as a dedicated board member. So congratulations to you both on well-deserved recognition. That concludes my report. Turn it over to Michelle and Eric for a report on legislation.
I have one item to share with you tonight in terms of legislation. Of course, it's a busy time of year before they go on break for ever and ever and ever, is what I learned last night. And as part of that dinner, there was a little bit of a legislative update, and they're going to be on break until the election, starting in July or something. So right now is the time. There's lots of conversations happening. And I did highlight last month a bill related to voucher programs. So I'm going to highlight a different one. Just to continue to draw attention to the fact that this is the conversation in the state of Ohio in various ways. How are we going to fund and what are we going to fund? So House Bill 715 was introduced in February of 2026 and referred to the House Education Committee, where it awaits hearings and committee discussion. And what this does is try to bring some transparency to non-public schools. It would require new kinds of reporting, including number of students, total voucher dollars received, student demographics, student performance data, which is lacking right now, enrollment trends, graduation outcomes. All of it would be standardized, posted publicly, and available in one central location. So the goal of this bill is to allow the taxpayers, whose money is now going to these non-public schools, to be able to evaluate the impact of the voucher program. It has curiously been introduced by Republican legislators who support the vouchers but want to make sure they're proving that to the public. So that is awaiting its discussion, so we'll keep an eye on that. Eric?
Thank you, Mrs. Bissell. There is literally so many things that we could report on, and we do our best to sort of edit this list down to the things that are most impactful, I feel like, and most immediate. So I only have 2 things today. One of them is a follow-up from last January, 2 months ago. We talked about the law with artificial intelligence. We're now moving from law into action, and I'd seen Mrs. Bissell and I are both on the policy committee, and various AI policies are working their way through the mechanisms of the school, and adopting a formal AI policy ahead of the July deadline. So we're definitely in the implementation kind of phase now, and we have a timeline for staff input, academic integrity guidelines, and data privacy considerations. I think I saw all of that in there. And then Dr. Ryba had reached out to you earlier this week and talked about we started a conversation about how AI might impact our strategic plan, and making sure that we're not trying to reimagine our strategic plan, but where does it need to have influence, and where do we need to sort of react to what's happening because our world's changing so quickly. And neither one of those two AI initiatives are happening in a vacuum. They're kind of coming along together, which is kind of nice to see. The second thing is also technology related. The computer science, I have this kind of on a watch list. There's a bill in the Senate Education Committee that would make computer science a graduation requirement for the class of 2032. All high schools would then be required to offer it, at least have an offering of some class by 2027 and 2028. The good news here is that this doesn't really impact Strongsville. I feel like we're ahead of this. But it's interesting to see that computer science and computers are finally catching up, where now it's becoming requirements for people to have some sort of baseline technical acumen before you go into the world. So more to come on that, I'm sure, because it's not law yet, but it's kind of interesting.
Thank you.
That concludes the legislative report.
Thank you. Board liaison reports. City Council.
Thank you, Mrs. Hausum. Strongsville City Council met Monday, March 2nd and Monday, March 16th. So just a couple of updates that they discussed at the meetings. The first one is for economic development. On Monday, March 30th, they're going to be touring Woodpeckers Incorporated, which is headquartered right here in Strongsville, just right across the street from Drug Mart on Prospect. The fun fact that I learned at the meeting is that the president and CEO of the company is actually a Strongsville High School graduate and Strongsville resident, so representing the Mustang strong there. Also, Foltz Parkway Phase 2 is going to have 40-plus available acres for development. And just a special shout out to our engineering department, Ken McCula and Lori Daly, along with Economic Development Director Brent Painter. They actually went down and lobbied at the state to get a grant for those 40-plus acres to be buildable and developed. So that's not all on taxpayer money. We did get a grant through the state that Governor DeWine was very happy to sign for us. So thank you to them for doing that. Also, I'm sure everybody who has signed up for the Ready Notify system when we had the high winds and the thunderstorms is well acquainted with the numerous phone calls and text messages that went out. Our technology director, David Sems, is currently working with the county and the surrounding suburbs to hopefully cut down on those 3 and 4 a.m. calls that I'm sure as many people are nodding their heads up there, they were also victims to, as was I. But it is a great service to sign up for, so you can actually go to strongsville.org. In the search, you can type in Ready Notify or Emergency Notifications. You can sign up for what type of notifications you would like to receive, if you would just like severe weather, if you would just like general updates regarding road closures, or if you would like all of the above, which I seem to be signed up for. You can also let them know if you prefer email, text, or phone call, or like I did, all 3. Last but not least, City Council is going to be meeting Monday, April 6th and Monday, April 20th, and they always invite the public to come join, and you can be a member of the audience with myself and Mr. Micko. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Next, Strongsville Education Foundation. The foundation met on March 12th. Rich and I were both able to be on that call. They discussed opportunities for sponsorships at this year's casino night that has moved to Encore, the Encore on Pearl Road this coming fall. If you're able to support the SCF, please reach out to me, Rich, or a trustee. I just checked, year to date, they've donated granted almost $19,000 in grants. And I think I went back and I saw total since the foundation was created, almost $370,000 they've been able to give back to our students. So we appreciate everything that they do, and we love the support and collaboration that they have with the district. That concludes the report. Next, PTA Council. Mrs. Bissell?
Yes, a couple things to share. The council PTA met last on March 5th, And we always have a special guest, a presenter, and this one was unique in that Kaylee Harrell, the principal at Chapman, came to us via video. I believe she was out of town. Was she with you at that time, Jenny, at the women's conference? So she was doing some professional development with other women leaders in our district, which is fantastic for them. But she talked about a new program they're doing at Chapman. It's a buddy program similar to the one that's happening at SRAR, where older students and younger students are paired together. She talked a little bit about, they did some goal setting and then talking about being prepared as students. That's one of their goals as a school. And some collaboration, reflection time. So I think it's great when you see different age students getting a chance to build community together and learn from one another. So thank you to Kaylee for sharing that with us. As usual, Cheryl Kimura from the city comes and talks about DARE. So there's always a lot of events going on. The most current one, the one that's coming soonest, is April 2nd, is the ice skating night. It's always a really popular event. It usually sells out. So if there still are tickets available, it's 6:30 to 8:30, and the food bank is collecting peanut butter at this particular one. So if you have a student that's going, keep that in mind. It's also the time of the year where Council PTA is starting to wrap up and prepare for next year. So they did announce the slate for 26-27 school year. Some of them are remaining the same. President will be Katie Drake for one more year, Vice President Michelle Hill, Treasurer Lauren Huntington, Recording Secretary Becky Jones and Jess Platt, Corresponding Secretaries Angela, I can't read my own handwriting, so my apologies to Angela. So we thank you for their continued service. PTA Council has the tough job of kind of uniting all of the PTA units, and that's not an easy task. So thank you to them. And then a couple other things that are coming up. We will award the Teen PTA Award and the Helping Hands Award. Those winners have been selected but not yet announced. So hopefully next month I'll be able to share that with you. And then the installation lunch, which was really lovely. They sent me an email invitation, which helped me get it on my calendar and reply in RSVP in a very timely fashion, is coming up at April 28th. And they're going to try that at the new Town Center Pavilion. So I'm really excited to see how we can be a part and be out in the community and having a celebration together to end of the year. So that should conclude my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Southwest General Hospital. We have not received our...
I will take that report, Mrs. Hausen.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, Mr. Micko.
I have the letter here from the Southwest General that says save the date for the annual meeting of the delegates. I haven't opened it on purpose so that there's a report at our next board meeting. And that concludes my report.
All right. Thank you. Board committee reports. Megan or Rich?
For Finance Committee, we have not met recently, and our next meeting is to be determined. That concludes my report.
All right. Policy Committee?
Our meeting is coming up, I think it's Monday, March 31st, Tuesday. I'll be here on the right day, I promise. And I'm very excited to see that it's not a gigantic packet. So we will have our meeting and then we'll leave from there.
Thank you. Facilities Committee, our next meeting will be May 19th. Oh, you do have okay. Michelle, that's right, I forgot.
So there was a very brief meeting on February 24th. Steve held it before the elementary facilities meeting, so there was a low turnout, but the main purpose of that meeting was just to share that since we've allocated now between the bond and other projects, we've allocated all the 070 money. So which, I mean, twofold. One, it's all allocated, so for the people that are still saying that we have too much money, it's all going to be used here shortly. But also, he had to kind of adjust his planning. So he just wanted to share that with the committee and make sure there was no objections. So what it means is the support services roof is going to be delayed to the summer of 27 or 28. And then this coming summer of 2026, they're going to do what they're calling aggressive maintenance work at Maraski and Sarar on the roofs. Sarar's would be to just buy us time to get through until we get a new building. Maraski, what they're going to do is going to be done on the building part that's staying. And so that would be permanent improvements and try to keep them maintained now and put that money in And he's going to use permanent improvement funds for that. So he's just shifting around some projects and some numbers to make sure we can cover what's necessary for now. Everybody on the committee was supportive of the changes. The meeting was very brief, maybe 15 minutes. So that concludes my report.
Thank you. Business Advisory Council.
Same as finance, we have not met recently, and our next meeting is to be determined. That concludes my report.
All right, thank you guys. Next on the agenda is the consent calendar, adoption of consent calendar. Action by the Board of Education and adoption of consent calendar at this point of the agenda means that all items appearing in this agenda denoted as type-action consent are adopted by one single motion unless a member of the board or the superintendent requests that such items be removed from the consent calendar and voted upon separately. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Does anyone have anything that needs to be removed? Hearing none, George, can you take the roll?
Ms. Hafner?
Yes.
Mr. Miko?
Yes.
Mr. Wall?
Yes.
Mrs. Hausum?
Yes.
Mrs. Bissell?
Yes. Motion carries. Okay, George, we are going to turn it back over to you.
So I have a series of resolutions, 6, followed by a second consent calendar. But the way that the agenda can only allow us to have this one consent calendar, so this kind of manipulates the second consent calendar, that we have to list them individually by law and then we could approve them as one sweeping vote. This time every year in March, these are due to the county by March 31st. We have our attorney that looks at it, David Seed, for any properties that we can challenge based on the sale price, and there's criteria threshold that were established by law a few years ago. One is the criteria thresholds, and second is the Board of Education approval, where in prior years, prior to this law, we didn't need the Board of Education approval. We could just file those complaints. So with changes in the laws, that's one part is the threshold, the second part is the Board of Education threshold, and then also we have to notify these property owners with certified mail by 7 days of the board vote, which David Seed's office does on our behalf. I had shared with you this document that lists the properties, the sale price, and the potential gain to the district. If approved, if these were go to the Board of Revisions and go through the process, and they rule in our favor, it could be a potential gain of about $1 million in tax revenue. And what those thresholds are, the criteria for filing a complaint are based on legislation under House Bill 126, which was approved a few years ago, that the complaints must meet the requirements of House Bill 126, sale to prior of January 1st, 2025, and a sale price exceeding the auditor's value by more than 10% plus an additional $500,000. So that is the criteria. So it has to be a value exceeding the sales price of 10%, the auditor's value exceeding by 10% plus an additional $500,000. So what David is using the auditor's value, and these properties sold as the sale price as what he's contesting, and those were on the spreadsheet. You could see the differences, and a lot of these are listed what the properties are, and they're corporations that have headquarters outside of Strongsville. So you could see on the attachment what's there. So any questions?
If we went through with these complaints, how long do they usually take to resolve?
Depends on the docket with the county. They've been better about them, so a few years. It goes through the Board of Education complaints. We have to provide evidence. They have to provide evidence, and then there's appraisals done as well. So it depends on the docket with the county. Years ago, it used to take several years. I think they've been more on target, and it takes maybe a year or two. And then there's an appeal process too.
Any other questions? Thank you, George.
Well, we still have we have to do the vote.
Oh.
So I'll read the resolution. It's under R.1. Action by the Board of Education, adoption of consent calendar 2. Tax complaints at this point of the agenda means that all items appearing in Treasurer's Report, tax complaints, items Q1 through Q6, which items constitute the consent calendar 2, tax items complaints, are adopted by one single motion unless a member of the board or superintendent requests that such items be removed by the consent calendar 2, tax complaints, and voted upon separately.
Do I have a motion?
So moved?
Second?
Second?
George, can you take the roll?
I just want to check one thing, that it's still Q. Okay, it is. Sometimes something will get added after we added this, and it changes the order, so I wanted to make sure the reference was still correct. Ms. Hafner?
Yes.
Mr. Micko?
Yes.
Mr. Wall?
Yes.
Mrs. Hausum?
Yes.
Mrs. Bissell?
Yes.
Motion carries. Great. Thank you, George. Superintendent's timely information?
Thank you, Ms. Hausum. What I've decided to do just about 10 minutes ago is tell my friend and colleague over here that I'm going to have Jenny start doing the instructional updates for the timely information. A handful of years ago, the board was gracious enough to entrust me to do some reorganization of our administrative team, and part of that made Jenny's major responsibilities overseeing our instructional program. So as a school district, we do not do anything without the success of our team, but every team needs a great leader, and Jenny is a great leader. And a lot of the slides that I get to showcase every month highlight the vision that she has and the work that is being brought to life in the classroom because of her work with our directors, with our principals, with our teachers that make that impact on our kids. So it's only fitting that she's able to celebrate those with you and with our community. So I know she desperately wants to change the title from timely information to something more exciting, but I'll let her.
I think around along the lines
be
of rock
more
stars or
Yeah,
something.
right?
Ooh, I can't wait till next month.
I know, right?
Creative.
I mean, how could you beat timely information?
I said,
But,
what is that called? These timely information.
Yeah. So I'll turn it over to Jenny to go through the exciting things happening in our classrooms at the 3 levels.
Well, thank you for those kind words. But like you said, that it really takes everyone working together to create these experiences for our students. And I'm really excited with this because it really does, we talk about impact a lot. And I think the next 3 things that I'm going to talk about, it's not only our teachers that are on our district learning team that are doing this work or our coaches, it's actually extending to other teachers beyond those groups. So it's exciting to see. The first one that I'll highlight, and this is something near and dear to my heart because it's talking about Don Quixote, which I used to teach this novel when I taught Spanish. So it's super exciting that our Muraski 5th graders get to be involved in learning about not only the novel, but also building their knowledge of the Middle Ages, which is a direct tie-in. 2 of our focus areas for this year with the district learning team are connecting content areas together, as well as bringing real-world connections to our students. So I think this does a lot of that. But they are able to create art projects. They are doing a reader's theater, acting out and speaking out words and scenes from the novel, which directly relate to our Model Mustang competencies. They're learning how to see different perspectives through specific characters' eyes and thoughts, designing character shields and night names, and using those character traits and creating designs for castles and presenting them to their classmates. So it's just so exciting to see them out of their seats, working together and using a lot of the skills that we want them to embody as they continue to grow. Next, we have middle school 8th grade, our ELA teachers, and 2 of these teachers are our building coaches as well. And so they are working to prepare students for the upcoming state test and working on it through fun, competitive games in the classrooms, and they are tying it to Greek mythology. And they're having interactive ways, as you can see in the pictures, where students are up, they're working together, again, interactive ways for them to solve 6 different mind-bending puzzles together in a race against their classmates to see who had finished first. So fun games for middle school students. They actually toss softballs into buckets as they work to define many English terms as possible. Each made bucket had the students working together to provide specific examples of these English terms that will be part of their state testing in a few weeks.
And I would say, I was at the middle school this morning, and they were doing another activity to look at like kind of a plot line and a story, and just the engagement and the excitement from the kids. You know, it's just not an activity. They were really into it, so it was exciting to see it firsthand.
And then lastly, again, looking at collaborations, Michelle, I think you talked about the Mustang mashups that we're doing between, you know, different grade levels. Well, this is a great example of not only collaborating with the different grade levels, but also our neighbors in Brunswick. So last year, a Baldwin Wallace student, Rose Olive, she did her student observation at Brunswick's Kidder Elementary School, and this year that same student came to us for her student teaching experience in our ceramics classes at Strongsville High School. And so Miss Olive reached out to Brunswick to see if she could establish an art collaboration, and so she did just that between, I believe it was third graders at Brunswick and our high school students, and the third graders created these monster drawings, and now our students are creating 3D ceramic sculptures of their monster drawings. So just a great connection. Our art students are doing something more authentic, an authentic project that hopefully these third graders will enjoy at the end. So really excited to see just the impact, how it's starting to spread in our district.
That's just super cool. I mean, that's really awesome. Going on the next slide, Laura shared, but once again, congratulations to Michelle and Rich for your years of service and for your boardsmanship to reach master board member at such a young age. So it was a wonderful night celebrating so many dedicated Board of Education members, and just a special thank you from our administrative team to both of you for your years of service and your work to continue to grow and get better. Moving on to our kind of timely information updates. We've got spring break starting next week, so Monday through Thursday school. Friday starts our spring break. We'll be off on Friday and then the following week. Just a reminder, the deadline's coming for those that would like to join our community advisory team. What we're excited about is not only have we promoted this through our community listserv and our parents, but we just sent out a postcard that hopefully everybody received announcing our Model Mustang experience, but also on it had a QR code for anyone in our community that was interested, that they could scan that QR code and get some more information and see if they're interested. So we look forward to finalizing that coming up. And don't forget our Foundation for the Future facilities plan. We've been out and about the board. Many of our district administrators, whether it's neighborhood meetings, neighbor meetings, building tours, civic group presentations, community groups, you name it, we've done it. And we've got a variety of informational items on the website. Exciting-wise, you can see some of the fit plans that are on the website. We're ready to launch some renderings that will be coming soon. But we are going to hold a community town hall at Strongsville Middle School. We'll start to send out flyers next week and inform, but want to get that out on social media as well as to our families and community members. Anything that you have that's on your mind regarding our May 5th bond project, to look at the legacy project that's in place to address our elementary schools, our preschool moving forward. We're there to answer any questions that you may have so you can be well informed as you go to the polls on May 5th on issue 5. Going on the last slide, I'm going to turn it over back to Jenny to highlight that we are less than a week away from the biggest event of the year for our school district.
Yeah, so super excited about the Model Mustang experience. As I just talked about 3 different examples going on in our district, we're going to have many more at this experience on Tuesday, March 31st from 6 o'clock to 8 at Strongsville Middle School. So the location has changed this year from the high school. We will be at the middle school. And like Cameron just said, everyone in our community was sent a postcard. And so if they bring that postcard with them on that night, you will be entered. We have some fabulous prizes to give away. So bring your postcards and we'll have a place for you to deposit those, and we'll pick a few lucky winners at the end of the night. But really, it's amazing to see all of the things that we're going to be highlighting. I'll just highlight a few. The Pink Pixies from the middle school will be there. We'll have our pottery wheel from the high school will be on display. I think all of our music groups will be there representing in some form or fashion. Key Club, a lot of our clubs will come. We have the Volume Zoo coming from Whitney. A lot of our new literacy program will be highlighted in the projects that they have done. So again, just so many volunteers coming and students coming, and just really, really excited to showcase all the hard work that our teachers and students have done. And I think the best part about this is that our students are going to be leading the tables. So they are going to be explaining the exhibits, and a lot of them are interactive. We've had a lot of requests for extension cords and electricity because they just have some really, really cool things planned for everyone. So from our preschool all the way through our senior class, you're going to see a lot of different examples all throughout of the learning that's been taking place this year in Strongsville. And then also, we will start this event at 6 o'clock in the auditorium with our own Dr. Ryba welcoming everybody and addressing the audience for a quick 15 minutes so we can quickly get to, I'll be in the back. So we can quickly get to the exhibits and what everybody's there for. But I think it's just going to be a great event. And again, like I said, bring your postcard and drop it in. And we will hope to see not only our parents of our students, but also our community to come see the hard work that we're doing.
And that concludes the timely information.
Thank you. Next up is Board of Education Other. Do we have any Board of Education Other? All right, hearing none. Move on to meeting notification. A regular Board of Education meeting work session will be held Wednesday, April 1st, 2026 at 6:30 p.m. right here in this meeting room of the admin building at 18199 Cook Avenue. And then we will have a regular Board of Education meeting to be held Thursday, April 23rd, 2026 at 6:30 p.m. in the meeting room of the admin building, 18199 Cook Avenue. Next up, executive session. We do have need for executive session.
To consider the employment and compensation of a public employee.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second?
Motion by Megan, second by Rich. George, can you take the roll?
Ms. Hafner?
Yes.
Mr. Miko?
Yes.
Mr. Wall?
Yes.
Mrs. Hausum?
Yes.
And Mrs. Bissell?
We will enter into executive session at approximately 8:35. We don't see reason to come back out in for more public sessions, so I want to wish everybody a good night.